Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
So cute when one of their
It's always
side
funny
gets
watching
punished.
their mood
They
change
sulk
when
like
one of
they
their
ran out
own
of raw
finally
cookie
faces
dough
the
in
heat.
green room.
Suddenly they look lost, like someone just told them the green room ran out of snacks. Whoopi Goldberg didn't just get upset, she went off the rails. This wasn't a small moment. It felt like a full stage performance, the kind with fake tears and imaginary violins playing in the background. And what caused all this? Greg Gutfeld made one sharp comment, and just like that, her ego collapsed.
Pillow. Yeah, ABC suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the cost had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about
maybe
race.
ethnicity.
It's,
Well, they
no,
consider
it's
Jews
about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even for The View.
This wasn't just a quick insult. It felt more like an emotional eviction notice. 1 minute, Whoopi Goldberg was confidently speaking on The View, tossing opinions around like party favors. The next minute, she was unraveling faster than a shopping cart with a broken wheel. People joke about over-the-top soap opera moments, but Whoopi took it to a whole new level, crying, gasping, and completely losing control on live TV. It wasn't a normal reaction. It was a meltdown that could have used a stage manager and a commercial break. Greg Gutfeld, the king of sharp sarcasm over at Fox News, didn't hold back. He hit her with a comment so bold and biting, it felt like he lit a match in a fireworks store. She didn't stand a chance. The shock on her face said it all. But honestly, this wasn't out of nowhere. Whoopi has been building toward this kind of breakdown for a long time. It's been bubbling under the surface. Months of frustration, heated rants, and loud declarations finally boiling over. The View was once sold as a place for smart conversations and different views, but now it's just loud voices fighting to sound the most right, with Whoopi leading the charge like a drama-filled commander.
Truth. Yesterday on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the ban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women,
Right.
wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on religion.
Then came the unexpected twist. Greg Gutfeld, smirking as usual, stepped in with that sharp tongue and fearless sarcasm that he's known for. His words weren't just casual comments. They came loaded with enough heat to shake the whole studio. When he let loose, the impact wasn't just felt, it echoed. It was like he aimed directly at Whoopi Goldberg's carefully built wall of opinions and knocked it down brick by brick. Her reaction was immediate. She looked stunned, like someone had pulled the rug out from under her. You could almost hear the dramatic music playing in the background, the long pause, the slow blinking, and that signature, "How dare you?" Glare made a full appearance. It was clear she didn't expect to be challenged so directly, especially not with that kind of precision. Greg didn't attack her personally.
So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart
He simply took her weak arguments and calmly sliced through them, showing just how hollow they really were. There were no cheap shots, just facts and cutting logic. As he spoke, it became obvious she wasn't prepared to handle real pushback. Instead of responding with reason, Whoopi did what she usually does when she's backed into a corner. She raised her voice, waved her hands, and tried to take over the conversation with sheer noise. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was A spotlight moment showing how The View has changed. What used to be a place for different ideas now feels like a tightly controlled environment where only one kind of opinion is welcome. If you challenge the group's mindset, you're treated like a problem. And Whoopi? She's not leading a conversation, she's performing. Loud, dramatic, and emotional. But when you strip it all down, there's not much substance underneath all the flair.
Wow. Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the band. How dare they compare them to Trump? The band should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder that the band throw acid in girls' faces for going to school.
The moment someone on The View dares to step outside the group script, it's like setting off a fire alarm in a library. You're either drowned out, spun into confusion with endless talking over, or politely faded into the background like you were never there. It's no longer a place for honest conversation. These days, it feels more like a real-life version of an online dog pile, just with studio lights, makeup, and a live audience. Then Greg Gutfeld walked in, with that smirk he wears like armor, and a handful of sharp comebacks he didn't hold back. He didn't just throw a little shade, he brought the wrecking ball. He dropped truths like bricks, knocking down walls of emotion and outdated outrage that have been holding up The View for way too long. And what he exposed wasn't news to anyone paying attention. It was just the first time someone said it out loud in the room. The moment Greg spoke, Whoopi Goldberg's expression changed. She froze mid-speech, clearly caught off guard. Her face said, "How dare you
Canada, apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy. Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
challenge me?" And her sigh was so dramatic it could have been mistaken for a Broadway cue. Then came the emotional unraveling. She wasn't just upset, she looked like someone auditioning for a tragic solo show called The Fall of the Moral High Ground. She gave scrambled arguments, threw in unrelated references, and basically fell into a dramatic spiral for everyone to watch in real time. Behind the cameras, you could almost hear the panic. Someone was probably yelling, "Go to commercial!" As Whoopi tried to pull herself together. Her eyes welled up, but she wasn't about to ruin her makeup. Gotta keep the glam intact while yelling about
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart.
topics she only half remembers from an article she barely skimmed last weekend. And Greg? He stayed calm. No yelling, no drama. He just calmly peeled back the layers with his usual sarcasm and wit. It was like watching someone pop a balloon with a pin. Quick, simple, and oddly satisfying. What he really showed was that The View isn't a table for different opinions anymore. It's more like a staged echo chamber where everyone claps for the same recycled takes. If you dare bring a different thought to the table, they act like you've committed a crime. When Whoopi ran out of things to say, her co-hosts jumped in like backup singers
I ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
Rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the
the-
first time in
Cicada
like
cicada.
No,
100 years.
no.
For the first time in many, many years.
No,
And so-
every 17 years this happens.
well, that's not what I read, but maybe, maybe you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists
That's more
or
the
something
point.
is
Earth is returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't. I don't think that's-
It happens,
How
and,
about the
and
one-
the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing.
concert, nodding, tilting their heads, and adding to the emotional noise instead of contributing anything real. Even Sunny Hostin, who often throws around big words with little meaning, got in on the mess. Her history of talking about race and reparations came back to bite her when it was revealed that she actually descends from slave owners. That awkward fact wasn't just a twist. It was a full circle moment that highlighted just how little substance sits behind all the grand speeches. And let's not forget the viral aftermath. Social media exploded. Clips of the moment were everywhere, edited, slowed down, turned into memes, and shared with sarcastic captions. TikToks mocked the meltdown. YouTube creators broke it down frame by frame. It became a cultural moment, not because it was important, but because it was so ridiculously on brand for how unhinged things on The View have become. Then there was Whoopi's support for Joe Biden, where she claimed she didn't care if he couldn't speak a full sentence or even if he had accidents in his pants. Her defense wasn't based on logic or policy, just blind loyalty.
Austin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from sunny Austin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Austin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from...
It felt like watching someone try to justify a broken phone by saying, well, it still rings sometimes. Through it all, Greg didn't make it personal. He never attacked Whoopi herself, just her arguments. But in that studio, disagreement is seen as betrayal. Facts become optional. If you don't nod along...
Biden's loose bowels should make voters throw in the towels. Goldberg's rational so weak she doesn't care if Biden can't speak. Yes, it's a magical land where little Debbies make big bellies and brain cells go to die. This week on The View, Whoopi doubled down on her support of Joe Biden's re-election. No surprise, but it was her peculiar poo-powered prose that piqued my potty predilection. Roll it!
I don't care if he's his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together.
You're suddenly the enemy of progress, truth, and everything good in the world. That's what made Whoopi's reaction so telling. She didn't know how to respond to someone calmly pushing back. She's used to being the loudest voice in the room, not the one being questioned. So when that moment came, she reached for drama instead of dialogue. She turned up the emotion, played the victim card, and hoped the audience would side with her because of volume, not reason. By the end, Greg walked away completely unfazed, cool, confident, and untouched. He delivered his message, exposed the shallow nature of the show, and left like someone who knows he just pulled off something big.
She doesn't care if he his pants, and in fact, she'll stand right behind him. Not only does she have a terrible case of Trump derangement, she also has no sense of smell or a really weird fetish. And I'm not one to kink shame, to each his own. I guess you just got tired of Joy's crap.
No mic drop, no gloating, just a knowing smile and a quiet exit. And Whoopi? By the next episode, it was like nothing happened. Back to the usual routine, outrage, overreactions, and monologues that turn small disagreements into world-ending crises. It's the same cycle. Around and around they go, calling it debate when really it's just spinning in place. The truth is, when your whole persona is built on never being challenged, even a calm question can feel like an attack. And eventually, that kind of environment will fall apart. Not with a bang, but with a whimper and a shaky sigh on live TV.
Some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. So, but the problem with her is that